Welcome to another video. This video is all about combustion. So this is the combustion of hydrocarbon. And hydrocarbon is a special case of compound. And hydrocarbon is a compound which comprises carbon and hydrogen alone. Now before I tackle this question, what is combustion? Combustion is the burning of a substance in the presence of air or oxygen to liberate energy. But combustion of hydrocarbon is a special case. So when we say hydrocarbon is a compound which comprises carbon and hydrogen alone. Now you are having two distinct hydrocarbons here. You are having methane and you are having ethane. Methane is a saturated hydrocarbon. Ethane is an unsaturated hydrocarbon. So now, methane is CH4. This is methane. So the structure of methane, this is the structure of methane. This is methane. Then ethane, this is the structure of ethane. Triple bond. So this is ethane. It's an unsaturated hydrocarbon. Now, as I said earlier on, hydrocarbon is a special case. So we have the general equation for the combustion of hydrocarbon. The general equation is signified as Cx Hy plus x plus y over 4 O2 then goes to XCO2 plus y over 2H2O. This is the general equation for the combustion of hydrocarbon. So this general equation for the combustion of hydrocarbon works for any hydrocarbon, be it a gigantic hydrocarbon, be it a small hydrocarbon, no matter how voluminous the hydrocarbon is. This equation works, and the equation will be perfectly balanced. So now, let's balance CH4. Let's combust CH4. Now here, my X is the number of atoms of carbon, and my Y is the number of atoms of hydrogen. So that means I will plug in 1 for X and 4 for Y in the general equation of combustion. So we have C, my X is 1 and my Y is 4. CH4 plus my X 1 Michael 4 over 4 O2 now the product XCO2 X is 1 CO2 plus y over 2 that is 4 over 2 H2O. So I have CH4 plus 4 over 4 that is 1 plus 1 that is what 2O2. Then the product is CO2 plus 4 over 2 is T, that is 2H2O. So this is the reactant part, this is the product part. Let's check whether the equation is balanced. Carbon, 1 carbon here, 1 carbon here. Carbon is balanced. 4 hydrogen here on the reactant part, 2 times 2, 4 on the product. Then the oxygen, 2 times 2, that is 4. Then 2 oxygen here, 2 oxygen, that is 4 as a whole. So everything is balanced. Now let's combust ethane. Ethane is C2H2. Here, my X is equal to 2 and my Y is also equal to 2. So I will plug in 2 and 2 for X and Y respectively in the above equation. So we have C2H2 plus my X is 2 as well. Plus my Y is also 2 over 4. Then O2 goes to XCO2. My X is also 2, CO2 plus Y over 2, 2 over 2, H2O. So we have C2H2 plus 2 over 4. That is half. Half plus 2 is 2 and half. 2 and a half is what? 5 over 2 O2. Then the product, they give us 2CO2 plus 2 over 2 is 1. That is H2O. Now let's check whether this is also balanced. Now, we have 2 carbon here, we have 2 carbon here. Then 5 over 2 times 2, that gives us 5. 5 oxygen on the reactant. 2 times 2, that's 4, plus the other one, that's 5. 4 plus 1, 5. 5 here, 5 here. So the equation is also balanced. Then the next line of action is to solve the equation completely. Now, I will now look for the combining volume. The combining volume for this equation, for the first equation, CH4 plus 2O2, then moves to what? CO2 plus 2H2O. The combining volume here is 1 volume of this, or ethane, combined with 2 volumes of oxygen, gives 1 volume of carbon 4 oxide. So now the combustion of ethane, if you look at it, the 1 volume, let's write the equation first. The equation is C2H2 plus 5 over 2 O2 moves to X, moves to 2 CO2 plus H2O. So 1 volume of this reacted with 5 over 2 volumes of this to liberate 2 volumes of carbon 4 oxide. So the next line of action is that the quantity of this is unknown. The quantity of this is unknown. I can introduce an arbitrary value. I can say P amount of methane and oxygen, then gives P amount of carbon dioxide. Then for this reaction as well, I can introduce an arbitrary value as well, which is Q. I can say Q of this. So P times 1 is P. So this is P. Then P times 2 is 2P. Then this one times P is also P. So now for the second reaction, which is reaction between ethane and oxygen, then Q times 1, that is Q. Then Q times 5 over 9 is 5 over 2Q. Then Q times 2 is what? 2Q. So since from the context, we are told that 30 centimeter cube of a mixture of methane and ethane. So I can say PCNQ, 2PCNQ, then PCNQ. This QCNQ, 5 over 2CNQ, 2QCNQ. So having written that, we are told that the mixture of methane and ethane is 30 CNQ. So I will now combine this methane and ethane together, the volume of methane combined with the volume of ethane to give me 30 centimeter cube. So that implies that I will combine this and this together. That's P plus Q is equal to 30, equation 1. Then similarly, the total number of oxygen in the reaction from the context is 70 cm cube of oxygen. Now, my oxygen at the first part in the combustion of methane is 2P. My oxygen for the combustion of ethane is 5 over 2Q. Then, the total oxygen in the reaction is given to us as 70. So that is 70 cm3, equation 2. So the two equations form simultaneous equation of two unknown. P is the amount of methane and Q is the amount of ethane. So I will look for P and Q, which are the two unknown. So from equation 1, I can generate another equation. I can say Q is equal to 30 minus P. I call it equation 3. I will now substitute 30 minus P for Q in equation 2. I will solve the two equations simultaneously. So I will have 2P plus 5 over 2. My Q now will be replaced as 30 minus P. Right? Then the result is equal to 70. Now, I'm having a fraction. In order for us not to run into a difficult situation, to remove this fraction, I will multiply through by 2, which is the one at the denominator, all through. So if I multiply through by 2, we multiply through by 2. So I will now say 2 times P, 2P is 4P. Then 5 over 2 times 2 will give us 5. into the bracket of 30 minus b is equal to, then what I did to the left, I will also do to the right. 2 times 70 is what? 140. So the next line of action is now to expand this bracket. 4p plus 5 times 30 is 150 minus 5p is equal to 140. I will make p the subject of the situation. So if p is made the subject of the situation, I'm having 4p and minus 5p. I'm having 4p minus 5 is equal to 140 minus 150. I will shift this to the other side. So minus is equal to 140 minus 150 is equal to minus 10. So hence, p is equal to 10. So that is 10 centimeters. Then substitute 10 for p in equation 3. My equation 3 says that q is equal to 30 minus p. So hence, now q is equal to 30 minus the value of p is 10. I will plug it in here. Q is equal to 20 cm3. As we said earlier on, p represents the number of methane, which is the amount of methane in the reaction, while q represents the amount of ethyne in the reaction. I will now conclude. The question says calculate the composition of the mixture. I will now preamble what I have written here. That therefore, the composition. Let me use this English. Therefore, the mixture comprises 10 cm³ of methane and 20 cm³ of ethyne. So that is the end of the class. So please try to subscribe to my YouTube channel at Hydrocarbons. So that is the end of today's class. So life is continuous function. Life is a differentiable function. Life is integrable but not Lebesgue measurable. It is a diet.